What's going on, guys? Jim Galvin here again. This is my third and final episode of my short series on how to optimize your preparation for UK military training, more specifically if you are prepping to be a Royal Marine Commando. We've covered how and why strength training should absolutely be a staple part of what you are doing on the run-up. We then covered how best to structure your conditioning training to get as fit as possible on the run-up. And today we are here to talk about the linchpin, the glue that holds it all together, and that is recovery. Now, before you switch off, because that is boring shit that you don't want to look at and all you want to do is find some golden goose and silver bullet of how best to get fit for the Royal Marines, I'm going to say this. What if I were to tell you that training doesn't actually make you stronger? It makes you physically weaker and breaks down your body, and it is only the time between training sessions where your body goes through this adaptation process that you actually get stronger and fitter. So if that's the case, don't you think it's pretty bloody funny that everyone seems so unbelievably flippin' obsessed with how to train better, but so few people put the time in to self-educate on what is actually going to make them recover more effectively, more efficiently, so they get better results from their training? You can have two people following exactly the same strength plan, exactly the same conditioning plan, but the person who puts more time, effort, energy, and money into making sure they recover properly is the person who's actually going to get more of a benefit from the strength bit and the conditioning bit. And as always with topics like this, it's incredibly comprehensive. It's not a simple thing to talk about, but what I've been looking at over the last couple of days is a way to basically package as much useful information as possible. I keep going on about applicable wisdom, and that's what I'm going to give you guys now. I'm not a coach, this is not a channel, and this is not a video where we are going to get lost in research and data and science. You are going to finish watching this video, if you watch it all the way to the end, which you flipping will, because I'm watching you. You'll finish watching this video and you will actually have things that have been added to your to-do list. You will understand how this stuff works a little bit more, and you will have some executionable stuff to do that is going to complement your strength training plan and your conditioning training plan to make sure that you optimize your run up to military training, or even military service if that's where you are right now. This truly is the last piece of the puzzle for so many people that are prepping for any kind of military training, so we're going to crack straight on. Each and every one of you have a responsibility to create an environment at home or at work or in any way that most effectively and most efficiently facilitates your appropriate recovery from training. That's basically a really convoluted sentence to say post-training, when the body is actually attempting to recover from everything you've put it through and make you stronger and make you fitter, you guys have a responsibility to make sure the environment that you're in most conducively does that. It seems to be my style at the moment with these videos, guys, to give you 5 top tips for how to achieve this particular objective. So we might as well keep the ball rolling now and do exactly the same today. So these are my 5 top tips to optimize your recovery, which again, I believe is the glue that holds all this shit together and actually is the stuff that allows you to get stronger from the strength training and fitter from the conditioning training. So let's get straight into it, guys. Tip number 1, regular soft tissue work. Things like foam rollers and massage guns have become increasingly popular over the last couple of years, both in the world of military prep, military service, and basically this probably comes from the fact that we see so many athletes using them on social media. But you have to ask yourself, if so many athletes are using this kind of stuff, is it going to make you better as well? And the answer unequivocally is yes. There's a lot of different parts of training and nutrition that are subject to what's called biological individuality, which means if you are currently watching this, your physical makeup, your DNA, your musculature, everything is going to be different from the other guys that you're in training with and the other guys that you know and the other guys that you might be training with now. But the fact of the matter is there are still a few key things that are going to benefit everyone. And this is one of them, especially with a lot of lower body work that military guys are doing when they're running over different terrains, up and down hills, maybe with a little bit of weight on their back, weird kind of undulating terrain and turf underfoot. You're going to want to work your IT bands, your quads, your hamstrings, the big what's called phasic muscle groups. They're going to get really, really overworked, really, really tight. And sometimes when they break down, they don't always effectively recover and kind of mend themselves in the right way and in the right order. Foam rolling and other soft tissue work effectively breaks down what's called internal scar tissue. So imagine you've got a hose pipe, got a bend in it, it's got a kink in the hose. What this stuff does is it basically just flattens everything, and then when it kind of reinflates and the blood starts pumping through again, hopefully it's been re-leveled and it's all in a nice straight line, and that's why you can start to feel a little bit looser after you do this kind of work. IT bands, or your iliotibial band, which is basically the outside of your thigh. Super vital place to hit as well for anyone that's running or cycling. And again, running is going to be a big part of your prep if you're watching this now, and joining the military or serving in the military is something that you are doing. So make sure you hit this area. And I will just segue into this, guys. One part of the body that I believe is absolutely vital that so few people hit, that I never did in the military, but I did do a lot of it in my Team GB athlete days, were this. And it is basically rolling out underneath your foot. Sometimes the tension in your lower leg might not actually be from your calf. It might be from the muscles and some of the connective tissues like the tendons and the ligaments underneath the arches of your feet. Which means you can roll out your calf until the cows come home, but it's not going to make anything better. You need to hit this particular area. So you can do it standing, you can do it seated. It's not particularly comfortable if you're not used to it. But again, no one said that optimizing your body so you are best prepared to not only pass training but absolutely smash it was going to be easy and was going to be comfortable. Absolute game changer, guys. Make sure you hit the areas I've just said, and if you can, try to get in for a regular massage as well. Luckily for me, my girlfriend is a sports massage therapist, and you would think that would mean I get regular massages, but for anyone who's dating a chef, you can probably testify that your partner doesn't come home and cook you a flipping meal every night. The last thing they want to do is bring their work home with them, so I probably get a massage less than most people. But I noticed both in my military career, in my athlete career, and beyond, the times that I'm getting regular soft tissue release from a pro, and I'm doing this about once a week or once every 2 weeks, they are the windows of time where historically I didn't get injured. The next couple of things I want to talk about are both nutrition based, and we'll jump straight into it now. Tip number 2. One of the things regular exercise does is it actually suppresses your immune system if you do it too much. So one thing we can proactively do to combat this is to take a good quality multivitamin. I personally like to cycle through a couple of different brands so my body doesn't get too used to specifically taking one, but the best one that I've come across is something called Executive Revival by a company called G&G Vitamins. Based here in the UK, I'm now affiliated with them, and the reason for that, and I said this on my social media recently, is I actually reached out to them because I can honestly say my cupboards have had at least 2 of their products at any one time over the last 5 years in them. And the reason for that is they're awesome. So I reached out to them in an attempt to become affiliated because I genuinely believe they're the best quality micronutrient supplements in the UK. They don't do protein shakes, they don't do any post-session recovery stuff like that, they don't do any whey-based stuff, any vegan-based stuff. Their specific wheelhouse are things like multivitamins and micronutrients. And the result of them doubling down on that over the last 30 years is they are absolutely unreal. Both the website and my discount code is in the description for this video. Please do check it out. Even if you don't buy anything, just have a look around. Even if you have a look and decide to go with a different brand, I'm imploring you, get a good quality multivitamin to do everything you can to bolster your immune system so all your internal systems are working like clockwork and doing the best they can to keep you healthy. You make sure you don't go man down, you don't get a cold, you don't get the flu. And for people who put the time, effort, energy and money into these small little details, these small little pieces of the puzzle, these are the kind of people who end up staying fit and healthy throughout. And yeah, I get it. There might be some of you that are watching this now that say, well, you know, Royal Marines didn't do that 100 years ago. Correct, but they also didn't have the same warmers kit that we had. So when you first go in the field and you've got your warmers jacket on, remember that they didn't do that 100 years ago. But I bet you're not going to flip and take your jacket off out of principle then, are you? And it's exactly the same with nutrition now. We have the technology, we have the science to make sure that we can put our bodies in a better position than we used to be able to do even 20 years ago. And I just think you're an absolute muppet to not do that when certain things are so accessible and so cheap. I am not here talking to you now suggesting that you spend $4,000 on some crazy bit of tech kit. I'm saying that you finish this video, you go to a website and you buy a multivitamin that costs about 20 quid. Multivitamin's done. Let's now go on to tip number 3 and rounding out your protein game. What the bloody hell does that mean? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to talk to you about now. The building blocks of protein are things called amino acids. Amino acids are in different things, and different amino acids are in different things. Even for those of us that tend to eat a lot of different meat and fish and things now, historically, when we used to kill and harvest an animal, we didn't used to waste much. And that's what the modern resurgence of something called nose to tail means. That basically you eat everything. So it's been scientifically proven that things like organ meats contain certain breakdowns of amino acids that just kind of the fleshy bit that the muscle tissue doesn't necessarily have. So we eat a lot of chicken breast, we eat a lot of steak, we eat a lot of like fillet of fish. But if that is only ever the part of the animal that we eat, we are limiting the amino acid profile that we are getting. There are a couple of ways to bolster this. You can go to a farmer's market or a butcher and you can start getting some organ meats, but I appreciate that's not particularly appetizing. And to get them clean, to get kind of organic, grass-fed, grass-finished, biodynamic organ meat from different animals, that is not the cheapest. But there are other ways that we can bolster it. You can start supplementing with something called EAAs, which are essential amino acids. The reason that they are called essential amino acids is our body does not produce them, so we need to source them from other sources, such as certain animal flesh, certain animal organ meats, etc. Luckily now 1,000,001 sports nutrition companies do offer essential amino acids. Love Life Supplements is one that I've taken before. The link for that is also in the description below. I mean, by all means, shop around. If you have a favourite supplement company already, they may well do EAAs. Quick note, EAAs are not the same as BCAAs. BCAAs are an amazing thing to take both before or during a workout. BCAAs are wicked. I take them all the time. But EAAs are different, and EAAs are more essential. It's literally got the word essential in it. My final recommendation of how you round out your protein profile game is to take bone broth. You can either make your own, or you may already be doing that if you're a paleo fan. I don't know many people who do it, but respect if that's the case. Bone broth over the last 12 to 18 months for me has probably become one of my top 10 non-negotiables. So I will forfeit things like new clothes or other luxuries to ensure that my diet and my supplementation is on point. And bone broth is one of those things for me, which has risen through the ranks and become an absolute must-have. I get mine from a company called the Australian Bone Broth Company. It's basically in a glass jar. It looks kind of like a little bit gelatinous, kind of like a thick paste. You can either put it in a mug and stir it with some hot water, or just chuck it in a pan with your food and it basically turns into a bit of a sauce. Different flavors, different options, but 100% I'd say get some. If you prefer a different brand, cool. I'm not affiliated with these guys at all, as I'm not affiliated with the Love Life supplements for the EAAs. They just happen to be two of the products that I take, which is why the links for both are in the description below. Tip number 4, make sure you structure your rest days or your active recovery properly. A lot of the young guys that I've prepped for Royal Marine training before have said on their active recovery days, they go for a run. If you are running, you are not recovering. Running is one of the most eccentric things you can do to your body. Like I said in the last video on conditioning, guys, it's basically a series of really, really short jumps where you've got your entire body weight and anything you're carrying and extra gravitational forces going all the way up through your body through one leg. It is not the best thing you can do on a recovery day. In fact, one of the reasons why you probably need a recovery day, and we need to bolster our protein profile to recover our musculature, and we need to start foam rolling and doing soft tissue release, is because we do so much running and we're battering our legs and our joints. So a little bit of mobility stuff, some stretching, a little bit more foam rolling than normal. One distinction which might be interesting, flexibility is about the length of the muscle. Mobility is about the range of motion around each joint, which a lot of the time comes from connective tissues like tendons and ligaments. Both are important, and do a little bit more of this kind of stuff on an active recovery day. And again, your body will thank you for it. And again, other people might have not done this in the past. You might know other people that are in the forces that never did any of this stuff. But like I've said in every single one of my episodes in this short series of military prep, specifically preparation for the Royal Marines, my goal for any single one of you watching this is not just the pass training, it's to absolutely smash training. They are two very, very different things, and especially if you're joining the Marines, you should have the mindset of just scraping through.
Is giving her all they can here at the finish.
Is not even in your cognitive vocabulary. You should want to attack everything. You should want to make a name for yourself. You should want to do well, and you should absolutely want to do more than just survive training. You should want to thrive through it. And now the culmination of all of it. Tip number 5, get good quality sleep. A couple of guys that I've trained before have actually bloody said to me, Jim, in training in the field, we're not going to be able to sleep much. We might only get about 2 hours a night. Shouldn't I get used to only sleeping 2 hours a night? I rolled my eyes so flipping hard and nearly broke my bloody neck. The resounding answer to that flipping stupid question is no. When you are going to go through times where you are eating badly, where you are sleeping badly, where you are cold, you are wet, your immune system is suppressed, this is why all of the things that I'm talking to you now in terms of recovery, regular soft tissue release, both from yourself and from a massage therapist, a good quality multivitamin, rounding out your protein profile, structuring your active recovery days properly, and getting as much good quality sleep as you can. All of these things are even more important to you guys than they are to international athletes, because you are going to be put in an environment where you are devoid of all of that stuff. So what effectively you need to do is max out on it at the times that you can. Effective, what's called sleep hygiene routine, is absolutely imperative for this. Things like making sure you go to bed pretty much the same time every night. trying to limit the amount of blue light that you're getting from different devices within the last 60 minutes before you go to sleep. Taking things like CBD oil can help. And making sure where you sleep, basically the room that you sleep in, is at an appropriate temperature. Being too hot is very, very counterproductive to sleep. So if you struggle to sleep right now, maybe try to do so from now on in a slightly colder environment. My first ever video on this YouTube channel was about exactly that, my 5 top tips to hack your sleep. Again, I believe that is I believe that's relevant to everyone. I believe this is relevant to you guys even more so. If you're in the field for 10 days and then you've got 5 days back on camp and then you're in the field for another 10 days, making sure that you optimize your recovery in that 5-day period is absolutely vital, right? Hopefully that makes sense. And catching up on lost sleep is one of the most imperative things during that 5-day window. The link for my video on how to hack sleep properly is in the description below, so if you do want to learn a little bit more about this, which I advise you should do if you are prepping for the forces, then check that out after this, take some notes, start implementing some of the stuff that I talk about, and just bloody wait and see for yourself the results. Boys and girls, it's been emotional. We have now reached the conclusion of my 3-episode short series on how to optimize your preparation for the forces, specifically the Royal Marines. We've covered strength training, we've covered conditioning training, and we've covered recovery. Those 3 things together are kind of the trifecta and basically build the foundations, build the building blocks to make sure you put your body and your mind in the best possible state to thrive through any military training that you're coming up to. If you do have any questions, put them down in the comments below. If you do have any suggestions or any requests of anything else that you'd like to see or hear about or have me kind of educate you guys on, then absolutely put that in there as well. If you did get any value from this, which I really hope you did, please do smash that like button. It really, really does help the channel. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. I've got a hell of a lot more content coming up, and I know all of it is going to be relevant and helpful and valuable. Have a flipping wicked day, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.